Varsågod.
Tack. Och jag vill bara tacka Ulf för möjligheten att prata här. Ulf och jag, vi har jobbat tillsammans tidigare och han ser frisk ut som vanligt. With that, I'd like to say hello to everybody and everybody who's on the internet watching, all of our investors, owners, and potential new owners in Redwood Pharma. The last year and a half, I have to say, has been a really great time for us. There's a lot that's happened in the company, a lot with our lead product, RP101, in terms of dry eye disease treatment, or chronic dry eye disease in postmenopausal women, along with our IntelliGel platform. And with that, I say hello to everybody today. So as I said, the last 18 months has been full of news in terms of new acquisitions, in terms of patents that have then expanded our ability to move around in the freedom in the space, in the ophthalmology space within dry eye disease. We have acquired intellectual property from Capavision of the UK that increases our freedom to operate as well. We have also completed a financing of 30 million Swedish crowns, which allows us to complete phase 2 of RP101. And we've also had an Asian company start testing our IntelliGel platform. So all it is looking really well. The mission continues. We will be starting clinical trials shortly and look to publish results in the middle of next year. A little about the company and our value. There are 3 basic components. First is the hydrogel drug delivery system, IntelliGel, and we have an exclusive license within ophthalmology to use the platform. It controls the release of active substances on the front of the eye. We have as well our RP101 dry eye therapy, which has prior data from 2 clinical trials in the US that show efficacy and safety in the treatment of chronic dry eye disease in postmenopausal women. And we completed our toxicology testing of RP101 in November of last year and are now preparing for the phase 2 trial with our clinical trial applications. And then thirdly, we have an experienced team of professionals that have a successful track record in starting new companies and providing exits for companies. So we look to then make this whole package an attractive partnering opportunities for our RP101 that has a unique mode of action as well as a unique target patient population. And along with the IntelliGel platform, where we can then help other companies develop new products or to improve existing products on the market. About the company, our background, we were established in February of 2012 with the headquarters here in Stockholm. We did an IPO on the then, it was called Aktietorget, now called Spotlight stock market. And that allowed us to then build capital and to help finance operations as well as the RP101 development program. As I said earlier, our focus is on developing new ophthalmic medicines where there are large unmet medical needs. And our lead product is a topical therapy in the treatment of dry eye disease that has prior phase 2 data from the US. The technology platform that we have is the IntelliGel platform. I'll go into that in a little bit more detail in the presentation. And we also use a network of external expertise in production and in quality and regulatory matters. Our core expertise is within early clinical development. And this is the team that works on this on a daily basis. We come from big pharma and also from the life science community. On the left, you see Ulf Björklund, who's our Chief Medical Officer. Ulf was the head of clinical trials for Pharmacia for Europe and had then under his auspices the responsibility for the Xalatan phase 3 project. And then Xalatan is arguably the largest glaucoma product that's come out, and he was responsible for that clinical trial. You have Hans Agerland on the right. Hans comes from Pharmacia as well, a project manager, product developer at heart. And he has done some innovative building of companies and selling back to Pfizer those projects. So, and myself, I've worked in the US for many years, and here in Sweden, over 20 years experience in business development and marketing functions. So that's the team in short. I think we have the right people to shepherd these projects forward. Okay. Let me talk to you now about a little bit about RP101 and then our IntelliGel platform and what the commercial prospects are for the company. RP101 is a new dry eye therapy. It's our first drug candidate. And here's a little bit about chronic dry eye disease. Not many people may be aware of it, but it's very popular right now in the US. It's the #1 reason why patients see an eye doctor. And this is a really compelling fact. It means that patients are constantly going to the ophthalmologist looking for a solution to this feeling of dryness and so forth in their eye. The market for all products, OTC, as well as prescription-based products, is around $2.7 billion by 2022. And there are many compelling facts about the need. Dry eye and all the products in it is the fourth largest segment of ophthalmic medicines, behind bacterial conjunctivitis, glaucoma, and age-related macular degeneration. And the symptoms are many. They include dryness, redness, pain, foreign body sensation, the feeling of grit in your eye. And in its worst form, it can reduce the quality of life for patients, and the quality of life in such a way where you have difficulty with daily tasks such as reading a book, driving a car, using a computer. And we see more and more also that dry eye is accompanied with more usage of computer screens and telephones, smartphones as well. Interestingly enough, it's postmenopausal women that are the predominant segment of those suffering from chronic dry eye disease, and those are searching for a need today. Right now, we see that when we evaluate the market and we look at the types of therapies that are available for patients, there are primarily artificial tears. These are saline drops that you can buy in the pharmacy, and they're obviously, or they're used as a first line of therapy. 80% of all patients try these artificial tears. But then when if you have moderate or severe form of chronic dry eye disease, then you need to turn to other heavier types of prescription medicines. And then you're looking at anti-inflammatory drugs like corticosteroids and so forth as a second line of therapy. And then you have a third line of therapy, which are such as immunosuppressive drugs such as cyclosporin, which then suppresses the immune system and tries to affect the the symptoms. So today, there are really few or next to no products that are looking at an underlying biological mechanism here, nor a specific target patient population. Here you're trying, the drugs that are out here today are trying to solve the problem for every patient of dry eye disease. And what we want to do is to come in after the first line of therapy and start to compete with anti-inflammatory drugs, where we think that our therapy with a specific biological focus could be of help. So new therapies are needed, and the US FDA says that this is a serious and unmet need for a new prescription-based drugs. Okay. Dry eye disease, physiology and prevalence. The front of the eye is a very interesting place. We blink about 15 times a minute. We have a tear film that is there to allow oxygen in, to moisten, wet the front of the eye, to keep dirt and so forth away. And there are different components of the tear film that are produced by different glands in and around the eye. It's a multifactorial syndrome, which means that there's not one cause of dry eye. There are many causes, and that's why we need many different types of therapies today. There's no one silver bullet to solve all the issues of dry eye disease. The incidence increases with age. If you're in a dry or warm environment, you are more susceptible to have dry eye. It's also an inflammatory response in Sjögren syndrome, and this is a very small segment of the population, maybe less than 10%, but it's primarily hormonal changes in the eye tissue that are suspect here in terms of causing dry eye. And so postmenopausal women are what we think an interesting population. So it can be a hormone deficiency that then is causing this predominant form of dry eye disease that we'd like to treat. There are over 100 million sufferers of chronic dry eye disease in the world, and there are other studies that say there are many more. Large epidemiological studies say that 7% of postmenopausal women suffer from moderate to severe dry eye disease. This is a pretty big number. And so if we apply this to population sizes, to global populations, we're looking at 4 million women in the US and 4 million in the EU. So these are large populations that have an unmet need for a new treatment. So what are we going to do at Redwood Pharma? We're going to treat this with our interesting product with a target patient population and biological mechanism. RP101 is based on two components. One is the API is a hormone. It's an analog of a well-known estrogen. Estrogen is found in over 20 products and sold globally. It's been proven safe and effective in 2 prior phase 2 clinical trials that we have in the company, the data. And then we use the IntelliGel drug delivery system, which controls the release of active substances to the front of the eye. This is important so that we can then minimize perhaps the amount of, the doses per day, the number of drops per day, the amount of API in the front of the eye, and perhaps reduce other types of side effects in other types of drugs. It's been tested and proven non-irritating in vitro, and we've completed, as I said earlier, toxicology testing in combination with the API. And those results we published in 2017. The data that we generated there are forming a very, what we think, robust toxicology package that will be part of our clinical trial application that will be submitted shortly. And then we have the exclusive license to use this IntelliGel platform within ophthalmology, and we have that license from Broda Technologies in the US. So some highlights about RP101. We have clinical data from 2 trials in the US from Nascent Pharmaceuticals in the US. A total of 138 postmenopausal women were tested. It was a saline solution with the active substance that was administered 4 times a day. And there we demonstrated significant effect and safety in patients with moderate to severe dry eye disease. So the eye drops have demonstrated a good safety profile. So the idea now is to make this product even better by incorporating IntelliGel, slowing down the release of the active, fewer installations per day with this new formulation. And it's going to be preservative-free, which is in vogue right now with the US FDA, where we're looking at getting away from specific preservatives that may have some interesting safety profiles. And then we're going to test it with a multi-dose container in order to give patients flexibility and ease of use in the future. A little bit about the biological mechanism. What we're doing is we're applying locally a low dose of our API to the front of the eye to trigger the biological processes for the production of these critical components of the tear film. And the tear film is based on 3 phases: a lipid phase, an aqueous phase, and a mucin phase at the bottom. And so what our idea here is to provide the solution on the front of the eye with the IntelliGel platform, which then triggers the production of this tear film and restoring it to original levels. And to ever show you how strong our case is in terms of the clinical potential, here's some highlights from the prior phase 2b that were done in the US. On the left-hand side, you see what's called AST, which is anesthetized Schirmer test. It's a quantification of the volume of tear film produced. And so what we see over a 12-month 12-week period, we see that in one of the groups, we saw an incredible, significant increase in production of tear film. Conversely, on the right-hand side, we see that in a symptom, foreign body sensation, FBS, we see with over this 12-week period, we see that these groups trail off, significantly trail off. So that this is a very interesting slide in the sense that we show that we can help patients. We can, on the left, we can quantify through an objective sign, we can see production of tear film, and on the right, we can see a diminishing of the foreign body sensation. So our active substance has demonstrated good safety, and it provides relief to moderate and severe sufferers of dry eye. We met the clinical endpoints in the prior phase 2b, looking at the anesthetized Schirmer test as the objective endpoint, as well as a subjective endpoint, foreign body sensation. Critical to the future of the company is the innovation and development that's going on within the organization in developing new products around the IntelliGel platform. It's our novel and proprietary hydrogel, patented supramolecular smart drug delivery system based on poloxamers and water, and we have the exclusive global license for all ophthalmic indications. It's like water at room temperature, and when it is put on the front of the eye, the heat of the eye then changes the viscosity, causes a mechanical mesh to form, thus hindering the diffusion of active substances. So we have excellent bioavailability when it's applied to the front of the eye, sustained release, it's odor-free, clear, transparent, reversible, meaning that once it gels, if you go into a colder environment, it will then release and be back to a sort of non-viscous state, if I can call it that. It's non-irritating, non-allergenic, and right now it's approved and used in topical products, dermatological products in the US and in China. So here, on the slide to the right, you see how this solution behaves. The top one, how it behaves under the gelation temperature. This is sort of like a room temperature. Once it then hits the front of the eye, it becomes stiff, and then it forms this mechanical network mesh, and then slows down the diffusion of the active substance. And we can see what kind of benefit it has by looking at results of our tests that we did across, looking at diffusion rates across the membrane. Here on the lower right, we're looking at our active substance, the rate of diffusion in our gel versus a PBS, a saline solution, let's say. And what we see over a period of time that we're able to reduce the diffusion, here is proof that it actually works. So we see a lot of commercial potential for this, and this is very exciting for us. How strong is the intellectual property? How's the foundation of the company? Well, there are patents around the hydrogel technology from Broda, patents that will extend through 2031 and 2037. And then we also have acquired patents and patent applications for the use of estrogen and analogs in dry eye disease from Capavision in the UK, and then we'll have generics protection when our products come out on the market. So in the EU and the US, we'll have significant protection there. So I think we're very comfortable with our position here and look forward to developing new products. In terms of the commercial potential and how unique our product is, we have a very interesting market that we're going into. It's primarily dominated by cyclosporin. This is for how unique is RP101 and what kind of space can it take. Right now, there are no other products in development or on the market that are focused on the same biological mechanism or the same target patient population. So we have a unique position with RP101 to help become a new therapy for postmenopausal women. These are always interesting, these kinds of slides, these hockey stick approaches. But nonetheless, they give you an idea of what we can do commercially. In terms of target patient populations of postmenopausal women, they're quite large, as I said. We conservatively estimate that there are 1.9 million women in the US and 1.9 million women in the EU. These are large numbers. And what our partner can do in terms of selling this, I mean, our strategy, commercial strategy, is to take this through phase 2, and then phase 3 we'll have a partner who comes over for the development of that phase, and then commercial production and sales of RP1 on the market. So our idea then is to out-license these products, and these are the types of sales that we think can happen in the EU and the US. At 10% market penetration, you're looking at $500 million in sales. At 20%, you're looking at $1 billion, a blockbuster drug. So the business opportunities are large for IntelliGel and the potential for us in the future. The drug delivery system IntelliGel can be used to lower the dosages of active substances in products already on the market, or new drugs that are being developed. And we can also use it to control the release of active substances over a period of time. This is important to achieve all types of benefits, and maybe reducing the number of installations per day, or even potential side effects of drugs such as in glaucoma. So we're looking now for the new partners to develop products within various topical diseases such as glaucoma or bacterial conjunctivitis, out-licensing IntelliGel, also the platform just entirely to a big pharma who we have discussions with currently about developing new products around. Not to dwell on this, but the last 7 years have seen an amazing amount of deal activity within the eye space. We are surfing on that opportunity. What we can say is that there's a large commercial potential for us to monetize RP101 and IntelliGel. And with that, I'll conclude with on my last slide here, continued valuation creation. First, we have a unique treatment with RP101. There's no other therapy in development or on the market today that's focused on our active substance, the biological mechanism, or the target patient population. Number 2 is we have a strong toxicology package and clinical data from 2 prior clinical trials that show safety and efficacy of the API. This reduces risk, it reduces development costs, and it speeds development to market. And then we have lower risks and costs compared to, say, other products that are under development, say in other cancer projects, where you have an antibody that's never been tested before. What we have is a known entity. We have a known API that's already used in other products. From a regulatory perspective, everything is much safer and more well understood. So there doesn't need to be a lot of discussion around it. And then lastly, we have a confirmed regulatory pathway. Recently, 2 years ago, Xiidra was launched by Shire in the US, which means that the FDA is comfortable with the type of endpoints, subjective and objective, that are needed to get our product approved. So that, I think, is a very positive development for us. And then we are planning now for the start of phase 2 clinical trials. And I know everybody in our investor base and in the community would like to gain more information about it. I can tell you that we are proceeding according to plan, and we look forward to going out with more information shortly. And then we have ongoing licensing discussions with other larger pharmaceutical firms. We have a few discussions ongoing, and we have an Asian pharmaceutical firm testing IntelliGel. So all looks very rosy, and I'm very happy to be here to talk to you about it today. So if you're not an investor of Redwood, welcome.
Thank you. Tack så mycket, Martin. Du är välkommen hit över till mig här, så ska vi diskutera lite runt bolaget. Har vi några frågor från golvet till att börja med? Nej, inte än. Det kommer säkert, hoppas jag. Ni har inlicensierat plattformen IntelliGel. Hur mycket royalty, licensavtal måste du betala på det? Hur mycket tar det utav dina intäkter?
Ja, i själva avtalet då, vi hade de klassiska upfronts och så vidare. Men när det gäller royalty så ligger det under 10% av slutförsäljningen.
Så att du får lämna ifrån dig. Är den cappad 10%?
Ja.
Eller
Ja, den är
alltså i
cappad.
några år?
Den är cappad
där, men den är även cappad på år?
Ja, alltså royaltyn, förlåt, procenten är cappad, men absolut värde, den är ju inte cappad.
Utan den, okej.
Ja.
Så du får se upp med stacking royalty?
Nej, som tur är det så att det är procent på våra intäkter, inte slutprodukten.
Okay. Den här produkten då som ni inte har utvecklat för själv, RP101.
Ja, det är det där utvecklar vi. Det är vårt projekt det där.
Men substansen i sig, den har ni inte utvecklat. Den har du köpt in.
Den har vi köpt in, precis.
Så där har ni inga royalty. Eller där har ni inga licensavgifter.
Nej,
utan det är er produkt.
Ja.
Jag kanske missade det, men jag har försökt hitta. Kan du tala om det är en småmolekyl, om det är biologicals eller vad är det för någonting? Det står biological active.
Ja, jag nämnde det. Det är faktiskt östrogen.
Det gjorde du. Det är riktigt. Det slår mig nu. Det är östrogen. Okej. Intressant. Och då kommer frågan. Du köpte in den från ett amerikanskt bolag som valde att inte gå vidare. De hade andra saker.
Ja.
Och då kommer frågan. Hur lång patentskyddad försäljningstid kan du ge en licenstagare på den här substansen som...
Ja, det finns ju ett amerikanskt patent just nu
på substansen.
Och i USA i en formulering. Och sen har vi ett amerikansk patentansökan och EU-patentansökan som är med nu hos de här myndigheterna. Alltså.
Okay.
Så att jag tror att vi kan ge skydd. Vi kommer att kunna ge skydd från framförallt Intel-plattformen som vi har då skydd fram till 2037.
Just det, och det är bra. För att ni kommer licensiera det här någon gång om 2 år kanske?
Förhoppningsvis.
Och sen så ska då det bolaget göra fas 3-studie och så ska de då gå igenom FDA-processen och det tar ett antal år.
Ja.
Och då är de intresserade av att ha en 4-5 patentskyddade försäljningsår.
Ja, precis.
Och klarar ni det på substansen?
Möjligtvis. Men vi får se. Vi har ju patentansökningar som är på G just nu.
Okej, så ni kanske kan förlänga patentet?
Ja, det finns möjligheter.
Några frågor från publiken? Nej, då fortsätter vi.
Du är duktig, Ulf. Ska jag fortsätta?
Den här processen, ni ska göra en fas 2-studie. Hur lång tid tror du att den tar?
Ja, alltså vi siktar med att ha resultat i andra halvåret nästa år, 2019.
Okej, så 12 månader. Hur många patienter räknar du med?
100 patienter.
100 patienter. 200 000 per patient är en sån här between thumb and forefinger.
Ja.
Klarar du det utan att komma hit igen?
Vi har mer pengar än vad vi behöver. Vi har mer pengar och access till mer pengar än vad vi behöver idag. Så att vi känner oss ganska trygga.
Med en fas 2-studie där du betalar 200 000 per patient?
200 000 per patient, det låter lite dyrt.
Ja, det beror lite på indikation och sådär. Men det förra bolaget, de hade ju en endosbehandling. Ni har ju upprepad behandling. Och på
det låter lite dyrt, 200 000 per patient. Så att, men jag lovar att we've done our math.
Ja, det är bra. De här 15 miljonerna som ni har som en kreditmöjlighet. Ni hade ju en kassa på när året började på 2-3 miljoner. Ni har tagit in 15,8 och sen har ni en kreditfacilitet här på 15 miljoner. Så ni har dryga 30 miljoner och så bränner ni 20 per år?
Nej, jag tror att vi kommer att inte bränna så mycket. Möjligtvis, kanske lite mindre än så.
Ja. Okay, för i fjol brände ni...
Ja, men nu, jag tror att alla de här uppstartskostnader nu har, alltså för själva trialerna, det är de allra tunga kostnaderna har varit. Om vi säger att själva den kliniska prövningen kostar från och med säg april-maj 12 miljoner, då har vi Vi har overhead och så vidare. Så att jag tror vi, alltså 20. Ja, det är en bra siffra.
Det här är den substansen ni har. Om den skulle fallera, har ni någon backup-substans i bolaget?
Ja, alltså, vi har ju inte någon backup-substans. Alltså, vi tittar på andra projekt naturligtvis, inom andra ögonindikationer. Och det ser ju lovande ut. Men på grund av att den här substansen har redan visat effekt och säkerhet i 2 fas 2-studier i USA, har väldigt svårt att säga att vi är för oroliga för det momentet. Klart, allting kan uppstå, men vi känner oss trygga.
Var tillverkas substansen? Vem gör den? Vem gör API:n?
Jag vill inte nämna själva bolaget, men den görs av en jättestor multinational.
Ja, så ni köper in den?
Vi köper in den, ja.
Frågor från publiken? Nej, Martin, då får jag tacka dig så hemskt mycket.
Tack. Trevligt att se dig igen.
Och